Okay, yeah, so I'm good whenever y'all are. Start.
I'm ready to call the order this meeting of the Economic Vitality Team. We submit these minutes for approval. It's been a while since we've met, so if there's anything anyone wants to add or anyone has any news or updates from the hurricane, something like that.
I move that we accept.
So. Right, then. Let's just get into it. Last time, we were talking about the Main Street District possible expansion. And potential appetite for that.
Yeah, and I don't have too much from the last one, just because then like everything kind of changed after that. I would say, not to disrupt what you were trying to do, is we didn't talk about it out of community character this morning, but that sheet in the back, that's kind of like all of the different like recovery type of business things that we've been kind of working on. And so see with this group might be the good group to see if there's any kind of what's next efforts as far as like that we might have to shift on what we were planning initially because of like what all of this means.
It's kind of.
Yeah, so I don't know how, like, that's just kind of a little, that's just what I've been trying to keep up with, like, okay, what have I been working on? So it's probably a little bit scattered, but kind of want to see from y'all, like, what any kind of immediate thoughts from y'all, or
Shouldn't we prioritize these?
so these are all things on this that here, let me just, I can kind of run through it a little bit because this all stuff has kind of been in progress anyway. So the first that we did right after the storm, I hear report, yes. Right after the storm was we already had this space that we were getting ready to open up. So it worked out well because we had the laptop, or not the laptops, but the desks and everything. So that kind of was a little bit of a kick in the butt to get that going. And I know
Name.
5 on 5, yep. And yeah, and we already had that going. And so we've had it kind of softly opened from like Tuesdays through Fridays, so people can come and use the internet. We haven't had a lot of people who've used it, but we've had a handful, and some of them had asked like, well, why don't more people know about this? And it's like, oh, because I don't know that I can handle more yet. Except for kind of a word of mouth thing. But we've had a couple of people, I think there were a couple of your friends who I just gave her a fob because she said she'd be there working. So that worked out for a couple of weeks to kind of help get it open and going. So that was kind of like, as soon as we had power and internet back on, we had that opened up for people to use. And then that's kind of started working on getting like a website set up for like a scheduling thing that I've been trying to figure out for it. The next thing, this is just kind of looking backwards of what we'd done, was just trying to get out information to businesses and everybody, because right after storm, there was so much stuff going on that there, and so many people didn't have internet, so we tried to pass that out to people about what we had available then, and then the internet started back, so we got a little bit more access there. And then I'm on a weekly call. It's called a Spark Tank is what it's called. It's with a lot of business organizations like Mountain BizWorks and Small Business Administration, all these others. So they've been updating weekly on new things that they're finding out about. And so then I've been sending that out to businesses. And the next thing, so Lucy, that's in the offices there at Lucy Agency, they started doing some just video interviews once a week for just like as a business storytelling type of thing that they offered to help with. And then with the so the Tourism Development Authority and this other website, Shop WNC, those are both two websites that kind of spurred up that we didn't do, that were getting businesses to sign up to have their websites, like basically a business listing, just to try to get people, because like that first couple of weeks, people were trying to find out ways they can support. And so we were trying to, there were, all these different people were moving all over the place, trying to figure out ways to help with that. That was just some marketing stuff. And then, so the Love Hendo Business Recovery Fund, the Friends of Downtown contributed $15,000 to it, as well as the Chamber, $15,000, the TDA, $15,000, and the Henderson County Partnership for Economic Development. So we all contributed the seed money to get it started. And so then now they're doing some fundraising efforts to grow that, because that's like $60,000. It will only go so far because we have like 57 applicants and they close on Friday. So this first round of them, and that's, I'm kind of scattered right now, but that's a partnership with them plus the Small Business Center. So we're reviewing applications now up until when they close. And this first round of applications will probably be prioritized to some that had like big physical issues, but also looking at any type of economic losses, because that's like everyone. And so I'm not sure how much our fund will necessarily be able to support that.
Did you say it closed last Friday?
It'll close this Friday.
This Friday?
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know if they've already applied, but.
Those, I'm pretty sure that they had. And I know, was that your only building that was real bad?
Except for one in Asheville, so most had 6 feet of water in it. It's got it though, we're getting it done.
After all of the work put into there too, I'm sure you're stressing. And on that topic too, there is, and I'm trying to just continue to collect all of the different grants that I'm finding out about, because there's also a U.S. Chamber of Commerce grant for, I think it's $5,000 that I just found out about. And then, and I can send this out to all of y'all, the Western North Carolina Small Business Initiative, I think is what it's called. And those are for up to $25,000.
North Carolina Small Business.
Western North Carolina Small Business. Sorry, Phil, I don't have any of that in, oh, you just got the one.
I printed it out, it doesn't compute.
Well, some of it just me spouting stuff off. It doesn't have any of that in there right now. And that one's up to $25,000. And then I think there's gonna be another one. So there's a few different ones that are popping up. And then the small business SBA, the loans that like they're saying are not funded currently, like you probably heard that from the government, that until Congress meets. We had a meeting with the SBA person and they said that the SBA has never not been funded. And so like apply and get it in there because it's 0% interest for 12 months and then 4% after that for 30 years. Which is like,
That's awesome.
yeah, and up to, I think it was up to $50,000 is doesn't have to have collateral.
Unsecured, yeah.
Yeah, unsecured. I haven't gotten a response back because I had somebody who said that on the application site that it said something about economic loss cannot be the only factor for it. And so I asked them about that because in our meeting, I was like, well, that's like a lot of them are just economic losses that's the whole problem for us, the one, except for the ones that had like the big physical damage. And so I haven't gotten back from that, but I'd say if you've got all of your information together to apply, you don't have to accept it. And so that's what they were saying is take it, you'll never get any. But they also said that the SBA, because what we'd asked was, we really need something like how PPP loans were or COVID type loans. And this was from like the head of the SBA, like appointed from the president head. And she was like, she's gonna be honest with you, that's not gonna happen. So the grants are gonna be from like what we're trying to do here locally and in the region and all that, or any type of like private funding, possibly from the state. But that also sounded iffy from what I'd heard. I'm not sure on that.
From the small business side, all that's super helpful. We really benefited during when we were out of power and, all of that's like really helpful to get us back on track.
Well, good. And we want to keep being able to offer that. And again, I'll send all of that kind of summarizing back out to y'all. It's just been kind of a lot coming around to try to figure out what's the same thing and what's different.
And I've gotten all of these, but I'm on the email chain. So if I said, you've had some problems with communicating this to other business owners and stuff.
A lot of people have said that they've seen it, because I've tried to get it out like in our email list and everything, and then I've tried to keep it on. So if you go to the downtown Hendersonville website, I've got a Helene Business Recovery Resources page. So I've been trying to collect it all here. Some of it's not the best organized because I've just been dumping it in as I found stuff. But I've got everything that I could been able to find here. So I've got it all listed here and I've just been updating it as I've gotten more information to give out.
I haven't seen this page, but I know that we ran into similar communication problems, like outside of the disaster, and stuff like that, of just getting people active, getting people knowing what's available to them and.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what, because we've got our newsletter list and we've got the text alert that I know like this information went out in the text alert on Friday and in the newsletter on Friday. I think it was Friday, and I want to get it printed and handed out. Just haven't had a chance to. I'm not sure what else other than like social media and and just telling people on it.
I think word of mouth is useful, and it's hard to motivate people, but having this helps the word of mouth. Like if I don't know how to explain what's happening, but if I have something to point people to.
Yeah.
Maybe just the info dump
Yeah.
would be useful.
Yeah, and I've tried to because there's all these different websites that have some or all of the different information there. So I've just tried, anytime I've seen something, so it's probably here multiple times just because I've just pasted it in there. But if there's other ways that y'all think of to get it out more or better, I'd be glad to
Yeah.
on that.
No, I just noticed that we've had this problem before.
Yeah,
It's unique to them.
Yeah.
and, yeah.
So there are so many sources for money.
Mhm.
Right now, it's actually overwhelming, but,
Yeah,
and trying to direct that information,
Mhm.
is, so these are the minutes to the Zoom call on Tuesday nights that takes place every week by the arts
Oh,
community. And it's attended by 60 to
mhm.
some, it got as high as 90, I think, in one Zoom call. So all the representatives that come in there are arts related.
Mhm.
However, their organizations are totally art driven,
Mhm.
right? It's like, Department of the Interior,
Mm,
okay, has an arts
mhm. Oh, yeah.
bucket,
Mhm.
and then they also have a business bucket, not arts.
Yeah.
SBA, or was that SBC? The SBA is there, and, I mean, a multitude of government
Mhm.
agencies, FEMA, right on down the line, the Rand Foundation and, Music Cares, and it goes on and on and on, and, well, including Johnny.
Johnny.
With Jen. So Turchin,
Do what?
Johnny Turchin,
Um,
all right, he's. You know, owns Horseshoe Farms.
oh, okay.
And, he's probably one, if not one of the two wealthiest
Oh,
in the county.
okay.
But he has been handing out checks, right and left through his, relief organization called GEM. And, now they spent most of their time up in
Is that JEM or
G, Global Empowerment Mission.
I haven't even heard of that one.
They got a website or, Facebook, the whole 9 yards. But they've got like $700 million that they're playing with.
Oh, wow.
And, but a bunch of their people have already left. They're in Spain now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they wrote a lot of checks, especially up in Asheville.
Hmm.
But, it's still.
I wonder if, are they writing it to individuals or to groups or both? Cause I wonder if we like one individually, but then also if we can get them to help seed our local, some more on our Henderson.
Local fund, yeah.
Probably-
Yeah.
Yeah, probably could.
Oh, that,
He's,
do you know him pretty good?
he's the one working with me on the
Okay. The artists of,
properties.
Mhm.
And, he, like I said, he's talked to Oriole Mill.
Mhm.
I'm hitting, the rug mill
Oh, okay.
to speak with them and see. See if we can get them off dead center. Move them in the right direction, but, as I said this morning, the problem is identifying the demand
Mhm.
to spend X million dollars on properties that would have to be,
Yeah.
developed and.
You want to talk a little bit to this group of what kind of the,
Yeah, so, when the storm hit, what we did, and I think everybody knows, but we own 2 art galleries. And this one's been closed for 10 months. But it gave us an opportunity to pivot in a way that would provide help and benefit to displaced artists in Western North Carolina. Our gallery has been nationally represented. So we've released all but 3 of our artists. They're no longer will be, supported by the gallery. And we put out a call for artists that lost their galleries, no longer have a place to sell their art, like they did before the storm. And so we've got room for 35 or 40 artists. So that was the first thought we had. The second thought was, and came from by talking with Jamie, was that this was a time for Hendersonville to take advantage of a bad situation by offering studio space to artists from around the area, especially in Nashville, that no longer have a place to work. So that grew into a spark, and Johnny Church and I and Lyle had a conversation, and Johnny said, "We've got the money. Right? We need clients, right? I need to identify how many buildings we need, right? Is it just one or whatever?" He has the capability, but nobody's gonna plop down $6, $7, $8 million without some business plan forward, so. I've been attempting to get, lists of individuals, of artists, from around the region that, would be interested in, first have a need for a new studio. And two, would have an interest in moving to Hendersonville or working out of Hendersonville at a minimum. And, you know, not all of them, you know, are gonna wanna do that. right?
You've been doing studio space at the Seventh Avenue spot?
No.
Oh, okay.
By looking at some bigger spaces.
Yeah, yeah.
Existing vacant property.
Yeah.
And, we've looked at Oriole Mill,
Mhm.
75,000 feet. It has some environmental issues.
Hmm.
And it's a little overpriced, but other than that, it's perfect.
And there's some other like organization, because it's so big, a couple of nonprofit organizations that could
Yeah.
potentially have a space there.
With a little expansion, we could include it in the district.
And I think
Yeah.
that would qualify for new market tax credits.
I'm sorry?
I think it might qualify for new market tax
Is that
credit.
the opportunity zones? I don't think so.
Well, it's not necessarily opportunity zone.
Oh, okay, so that's different than the opportunity zone map.
About the
She knows all about this, yeah,
tax credit.
Well, that's, we still have to get past the, you know.
the tenants.
Who's gonna?
Yeah.
We're pretty confident that we could move in a couple, 3 nonprofits. Because there's plenty of space there for offices. You know, food court, I mean, it's big enough to do a number of neat things. A little further away from Summit than I'd like, but you know, we put in a show if we had to.
Mhm.
You know, but there's a lot of parking. Anyway, it's a good facility. Yeah, just don't know if
How far away is it?
It's next to the Boys and Girls.
it's right on it.
Remember, I've only been here 2 years.
You know where the Boys and Girls Club is?
It's walking
It's
distance.
right across the
Yeah.
street from there. It is in like a neighborhood, so it's gonna like be a respectful,
3.5, 4 blocks.
yeah.
Talk about buildings and say the name and I'll go.
Your building used to be.
So anyway, the challenge,
It's a great challenge, though.
Yeah, because
the challenge is to get the word out in every way that we can, that
so,
we need that information.
Do you have a website, like a Google form set up or anything?
Not for that.
Since Google Forms are super easy and simple and like we could, even if it's just, are you interested?
Yeah, our problem is they've got to be already going to the information on social media. So last night I got a tip
Mhm.
for the River Arts, which that particular Facebook page, Instagram didn't come up on my radar. And so we're putting out a feed on that, which presumably hits most of the artists in Asheville.
and I know that, when I had met with Mel with the Arts Council, she had mentioned that, I guess maybe it was Asheville for the for the region had done a big survey.
Yeah,
And I'll know-
and I asked them for the database behind the survey, and
I wonder if she's got any, or she's got any other access as an Arts Council to get that.
I might call her tomorrow.
Yeah, and we've had just that one preliminary conversation with her about it, but they've been looking for a space for,
See if she can have more luck.
yeah, she might.
Red Foundation, you know, on the Zoom call, I mean, they were all, you know, this is great, you know.
Yeah.
And send me the information and I'll put it out in our weekly get together, right? And I did that, but, you know, haven't heard back, so.
Yeah, Eric, were any of your buildings in River Arts District? Oh. Cause I know there's like, if they rebuild up there, it's probably going to be not the affordable art studio space that it once was, would be my assumption. So it's never gonna get back to what it was.
I think right now they are still in the honeymoon phase of the disaster. Which is to say, they still think things are gonna bounce back and we're gonna return to normal. Robert is, what's his last name, but he owned Marquee and a few other buildings there. And he said, well, we're gonna rebuild. Well, the city has to give him the green light. They don't even know if the whole floodplain is.
Well, Laura was coming into that, wasn't she, with the white duck down there?
Mhm.
The city of Asheville was giving her a hard time.
Yeah, she wants to rebuild also.
Because everything on that lower level, right, should be converted now.
Yeah.
To the new building code.
And everything up near the bridge before, there was kind of like residential mixed use stuff moving in and now like,
Yeah.
I don't know. the
Yeah.
appetite.
Yes, it's gonna change
Well, I-
totally there. So it's, yeah, it won't be the place for the art studios like it once was.
That's going away.
Yeah, so
I think River Arts will be probably 25% of its former
mhm.
glory
I agree.
coverage.
I think the Oriole Mill is just the coolest space or
It's-
something like
yeah.
that.
And, you know,
I think there can be some grant money at some point or another for something.
yeah,
It's not
That's it.
seventh and it lends itself to kind of the way there.
Yes. And what Mayor Burke was just saying too, is if the rail trail was ever able to extend, it'd be right there off of, if we were able to get that train tracks, it'd be right there. It'd be perfect.
There's already Apple Valley Transit goes right to the.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yep. Yeah, there's lots of ways to,
Yeah, it would have to be approached very carefully because it would be a neighborhood
yeah.
thing.
But, you know, if we didn't get, you know, substantial numbers from a survey or anything, but we got something, then we can pivot and look at downtown and say, all right, what buildings here can we,
Mhm.
you know, renovate and turn into more galleries or studios or whatever. Either way, it's a boon for Hendersonville.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because we want to be an art destination. We are kind of, but not to the degree that we need to be.
Could be.
TDA needs to,
Mhm.
you know, get into this as well. Because they do the out of market
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
Atlanta, Charleston and so forth, and, you know, when we can advertise out there and have a magnet here, to pull them in, should be a big boom for Endo.
So what would, and since you've been thinking and working on this a lot, in your mind, as far as a next step or a hurdle, because I mean,
That is the next step, is to
to identify.
continue to try
people.
and get this information,
Mhm.
because without it, I don't think Johnny or anybody else is gonna,
Mhm.
is gonna blink.
You have a timeline for when you'd like to have a good idea of how many tenants?
Yeah,
When are you hoping to?
well, I mean, if I could get 50, then I'd have multiple buildings.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't fill the mill. But, you know, it'll be mixed use anyway, so there's a lot of other things that you could put in there besides just, you know, arts, but.
Do you know if they've talked with the seller on that, or have you talked with them, or they have, or?
Yeah.
Cause I know, which that was Andrew, the realtor, so whatever, but,
No, Andrew's in it.
yeah, cause he had mentioned about possibly even being able to like condo parts of it out, so, because like, I know the Arts Council wants to have a space that they own for that way for, you know, if something happens, they've got their own property versus like renting a space kind of thing. Yeah, but that is as an example, to kind of lower the load of the total cost with more of that, like, instead of a rental type of thing of a
Yeah, well,
buy-in kind of thing.
you know, he wants to feather his bed, so he's come up with a lot
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
you know, leasing
Yeah.
options that, you know, that's,
yeah. Mhm. And the other thing that comes to my mind, which is something that's been asked about and needed a lot, is like a commercial kitchen space, like out what's that out in Inca? It used to be called like Blue Ridge Food Ventures or something like that, and it was like Lana kind of. She created her store for the pasta space because she needed a kitchen space, and I think she was gonna let people use her kitchen. I don't know if she has, but that commissary kitchen type of space or a kitchen incubator, I think is what it's called. But that space is big to be able to accommodate something of that size to like portion it out.
Well, commercial, kitchen is. I don't know how the local food trucks,
Mhm.
you know.
They need a space.
They need a commercial.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere else.
Yeah.
You go like Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
Where the food truck, you know,
Stuff.
began.
yeah,
They've got commercial kitchens all over.
yeah. And
the
like,
city.
that's what like Daddy D's, when they're moving out, they're like, their biggest problem now is they don't have a place to do their food truck
That's
because they
right.
don't have a kitchen
Yeah.
space for
I
it.
don't know how these,
Cold storage similarly
Mm.
for.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
you know.
So there might be some ways on that kind of business plan that's more of that steadier income side of things. To have like between a commercial kitchen space and someone to run it, like find someone else who does one somewhere else and see if they want to have a second location kind of thing. And that cold storage, I mean, that might be like a good set kind of base
That could be the entry level kind of thing.
money kind of to,
You have a
to-
kitchen, you have to get inspected, and you gotta maintain it.
yeah.
Stuff with cold storage, just be.
Yeah, so that might be some kind of creative ways to look at using that space, that if we're not sure on number of artists yet, if it's 75,000 square feet, if 10,000 is kind of already, you're gonna have some kind of rental income at some point or another coming in, that might be something for it. Cause that's a big one that people, I don't know, do you have people come in and use your kitchen, any food trucks?
People have asked, you have to clear it with the health department and like register as one. So like if I own my own food truck, we could do.
Yeah, but if it was
own space
letting someone,
there. If I wanted to lease it out to somebody, I'd have to be found with the landlord first. But then also
Mhm.
you have to go through the government too. So some people, not many people love doing that unless that's your thing.
Mhm.
There's one on Clear Creek Road near the quarry. And Guidon is trying to do that with their kitchen, kind of their, kind of stop their,
Mhm.
their bratwurst thing and stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that might be a secondary
It's opportunity there. There's people.
way to, that there's a demand for. That could be that would be the best place for that because of the parking for it, like the rub mill here. On the parking is the big
Right.
thing there. Art studios would be fine, but loading and unloading food trucks would be a challenge there.
What's the age of the red mill? Do you know?
Sorry.
How old is the red mill?
I'm not sure, but I can look it up.
New market tax credits don't work there for either one, but I don't know, historically.
Let's see. I almost would think for this committee as our kind of post-hurricane pivot, like that might be like the thing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it should be for this group or for the city
Mhm.
in looking for opportunities
Yeah.
that have synergy with, all right, how can we help over here if, and it benefits us as well. Yeah,
And they're worried about the neighborhood, but you do it right, that it'll make that neighborhood way better.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, if we could bring in, 100, let's say 100 artists, right? Number one, we don't have housing for 100 artists.
Oh, she got something.
Okay, we don't today, right?
She has some ideas.
3 months or 6 months, it would take more than 6 months to get the mill ready.
Totally. But yeah, let's chat. I have an idea. I have an idea for after.
Okay.
I've got, Reg Mill built All right, 1955.
If there's affordable housing on the horizon someplace that I haven't heard about, then, you know, I'd love to hear about it. But at the same time, I don't,
Pre-COVID.
I'm not saying I'm taking the reins on this either, you know.
Yeah, but like, because I would think that once it kind of got going, it would need to become its own operating entity, whether it's a nonprofit operating
The
entity.
Wilmots did not.
It's not the seventh,
The Wilmots are done.
yeah, but, and so that would be, you know, from what, like, I think that this is probably a pretty good group to kind of figure some of those things out, unless there's other groups that are much better to kind of take it on
Yeah.
and start, because
You know,
it's gonna take some really kind of pushing on getting it going.
For us, we want the competition.
Yeah.
We want other
Yes.
artists and galleries,
But if you're
studios.
asking these people business questions, I'm like, let's ask them other questions at the same time. Would you move to Hendersonville?
Oh, like the artists.
Yeah, like what housing are you looking for? Like that kind of, because like once you have someone giving you data, like what else do we need to ask?
I wonder if any of that was in that actual survey that they were already, that they won't give you the information on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You can send me a copy of the survey.
I know in Charlotte and like pre-COVID, and it's kind of a big city model, but you know, you do the thing where you like house an artist and you have this guest
Yeah.
residency
Mhm.
artist, and
Yeah, the Goodyear Arts.
that person gets a grant to move out here and stay for a week or two, do their art, and then you get to display it and.
So Goodyear's art was through Crescent Communities. I was there the summer and I helped them launch it. So they took an old Goodyear tire center, but it was gonna become, and it's now today Ally Bank. So you can picture a high-rise building downtown Charlotte. But originally it was gonna take so long to like get things up and running that they were like, what do we do with this building while we figure it out? So they did. They had some grants to put artists in there and they let them decorate and paint the whole building. And then they had events where they brought all their investors and all their bankers and fancy people into town. So it's a model that could work.
That close to the Costa Trail, you could run it like a hostel whenever it's not, you know, in the off season or the on season, tourist season or something like that.
Yeah.
Nothing like that in Hendersonville, really.
But it also got people used to coming to that part of town, because at that time it was just off the beaten path.
Mhm.
But it kind of forced the issue and it was like, see, it was 2 blocks.
Yeah, yeah. Which is a little, will be a hairy there because it's right in like a residential area. That's the,
It's also next to the Greenway.
yeah. And I think if it,
Active.
yeah, and at least, you know, they've had, that mill's been there for a long time, even though it's been unused for a while.
Girls Club can be an actual asset.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Like they're right there, that kids love art, yeah.
but also
Yeah.
training, business. I mean.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So. The main thing is the figuring is what they're needing, the people are potential buyers, investors.
You know, again, you know, we need a contact list
Mhm.
and then, you know, we can put together a survey form or a Q&A and, you know, pursue it that way. And just see how many responses we get, because that's,
I would almost just treat it as a wait list.
Mhm.
Like, just take, I don't know, just.
See,
But don't put,
Immediate scarcity and
just don't put anything about the location or anything
Yeah.
like that, just put it out of like a. Is that what you're worried about, is if we put like a form or something that then it's like, then what, like when people fill it out? Kind of thing, like if we
well, I mean, you can.
put a survey or something
you can
online?
Temper the, you know, the response by saying, you know, this isn't
Yeah,
next week
mhm,
or even next month.
yeah,
You know, I think in the near future, there, you know, reality is going to reset
mhm,
and they will begin to figure out what they're gonna try and do.
Even if everything goes right and they want to rebuild, it's 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still gonna take a long time. And one of the things that I've described about Asheville's future from my vantage point is that now that all those condensed studios and galleries have been blown out, right? Everybody in town is searching for a new studio, a new vacant someplace that they can go rent, sell their art, whatever. There's no place in Asheville where they will not find readily a compressed zone where they can come back together, you know, even if it's not the River Arts, it's somewhere else in town.
Most places with big buildings like that or near rivers.
Have a clump of studios that are again an attraction to tourists and, you know, locals coming in that just want to spend the day going through
So,
100 studios or whatever, right? They're gonna be scattered like a shotgun blast all over Asheville and surrounding towns. And tourists.
You're not gonna find them.
It's not in that concentrated area.
Asheville is only an art destination because of the arts district and a few museums down in Biltmore. So
So how do you get a hold of all those?
they have, well, you know, again, RAD, and now the site called RAD Club, which supposedly has the largest number of local artists subscribed to it. And that's what we're gonna find out now.
Mhm.
And I'll put a message out on there and see what kind of response we get. But that's, I mean, you know, artists, there are craft guilds and, you know, sculpture, organizations and so forth. And that'll be the next step, which then blows out to, even further than the disaster zone, right? And so then we've got to craft the message to say this is for Western North Carolina, you know, not for surrounding states. Because that's where and by an email address, you can't tell where they are.
I think it'd have to be anyone who was in with, like, especially if it was like a couple years free, heavily discounted, whatever, it would have to have some kind of application for it regardless, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know how many of the artists and stuff, like, are they even still here? Like,
Well,
or did they go to other cities? Like, I mean, if they had like leased places or apartment buildings or something, that I heard through
There's like,
hospitality in Asheville that a lot of the tourism, they like, their people left.
yeah, there's probably a lot.
There, another Charlotte, they were
Right.
like, I'm ended my lease, I'm gone.
Out of the applicants that we have thus far to be placed in AO7, 1 out of 20 left Asheville. And she, you know, so she declined us because she's now in Charlotte
Yeah.
and has a new gallery down there. And so we wrote back, so yeah, they don't hit Western North
Different markets.
Carolina. So you can still be here. You may not have the inventory now because she was wiped out.
Yeah.
But what inventory can you have in 3 or 4 months? And so she's reconsidering. But you're right.
That's what I figured.
A lot of those people are leaving just out of necessity.
Yeah, I mean, cost of living, everything.
Yeah, the housing of it is gonna be another key part just everywhere, but. Cause that if there's a way to have it as a combined live, work, studio space, I think that could be it'd be massive. And a good thing overall.
You know, and the galleries downtown, they're of no help because they won't represent locals.
Downtown Asheville.
Oh, yeah, the big ones.
Momentum, Blue Spiral. Yeah, they just don't. So, unless they're willing to pivot. You know, but,
They're all probably worried.
they're higher end galleries, you know, with high price lines and, they might think it's too difficult to get that kind of value out of local artists. Some are very, very good and high price, but you can't fill a momentum with them.
Mhm.
I think by next month,
Mhm.
we'll know.
A kind of a next steps
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay.
You know,
A lot to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, but it could be such a
there's too-
big, like it could be a huge thing for here.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it is.
A big renovation.
When Jamie and I first talked about it, this is a must do.
Yeah.
But, you know, then how to make the.
That was like the week after the storm when it was, and then now since then, it's like, oh gosh, that's a lot going on. But I think that there can be a lot of money and through a lot of different sources available for things like that at some point or another over time. Yeah, and yeah, talk with her. She's, yeah, she knows a lot on tax credits and all that kind of stuff.
On Hendo Art, what's up with the bear auction?
It's on the 16th is when it ends, and we're at $78,000 already. Yep, and so it'll be on Friday, the 16th will be when it ends. We've sold 3 already because we do a buy it now price for $10,000. I think it's 3. And then the rest are just being bid on. And so then after the Thursday before the auction, that's when the buy it now ends. And so some may go above $10,000. So that's,
Has there been any extra PR or anything like a push this year to do somehow more national or more, you know what I mean? Like
for what?
this drive of like help support Western North Carolina, like
Buy a bear.
buy a bear. I mean, like now's the time.
Yeah, we haven't done any on that.
I'm into a production line now.
It needs to be
That's
there.
what the little dust bears, I mean, I don't know.
They do it annually. This is the hurricane batch of bears.
That's right. They went through a hurricane. It could-
Yeah,
They
and
survived.
they all, no problems with them at all. I don't know how we would do small versions of all of them because they'll be gone to their homes in a week and a half.
That's what I'm saying, like, this is like the time to like,
Mhm.
just throw everything we've done out and also just think bigger.
Yeah, I mean, we've done the extent of the ability that we've got currently as far as the bear auction.
What were the numbers last year?
It ended at I think last year was 105 or 116.
Good.
Yeah, and then before COVID, the highest was $58,000. So, we're 10 days out and we're at 78,000. Yeah, a lot of that, it goes to the 19 different nonprofits if they push it out and that tends to be what happens. Usually the last hour is when it really, goes crazy at the end. Because we changed it this year. It used to be it all ended exactly at 6 o'clock, but now if people are bidding against each other, they can continue to bid. Because that worked really well the first couple of years and made it like super high, and then people kind of figured it out. We're changing it on them. Otherwise, for events, our other events are kind of going as planned. We had Rhythm and Brews. Going back to our Love Hendo local grant fund, during the holiday time, some of the people on our committee for that are working on some different fundraising events that we just met about last week, so I don't have more for that yet. To add to that fund, because like I said, it's only like $60,000 with like 57 applicants who've all asked for at least $10,000, so it's not gonna go very far.
Do you have any data from Treat Street, how it was attended versus years?
Oh, it was huge.
I know, it's huge. I'm wondering if it, how much.
Previous years or not, I don't have that. I need to look. Yeah, because it was crazy town for that. I think, and I'd heard people say, which you might, have if y'all were handing out candy like that, a lot of people who weren't normally Hendersonville people coming because we had it all going on for it.
Did you close the street?
Yeah, before, a couple years before I came here, they did it just on the sidewalk. And so it was just the businesses. And so it'd just be basically a line up and down the sidewalk. And then we started working with the county Parks and Rec in like 2018 or 19, and they started bringing in like all these bounce houses. And then they bring in all these people to have their own tents to do their own candy. And so it's just like there are as many people on the street during Treat Street as they are at the peak of the Apple Festival Day, I would say.
Insane.
And it's a short period of time.
And it's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, you got sugared up kids and
It's a very short period of time between like 5 and 8, and there are minimum of 10, 12,000 people there on Main Street.
Glad I was in Birmingham.
It is wild. It is crazy.
I mean, we have a stockpile of giveaway candy,
Mhm.
just like that's close to date or whatever that we'll do. But if you set up your table at 4:15, you'll have one at 4:15.
Yeah.
It starts at 5, but it's as soon as you're out there,
Yeah.
there's kids.
Yeah. And then there was like 60 different contributor booths that all had candy too. Because that was done to try to alleviate it from the businesses.
And Mars, was it?
Yeah, the county,
The candy.
the county had to, like, I didn't think we'd go through all the candy that we'd had, and they went through all of it.
If businesses wanted to participate,
Mhm.
getting candy.
Yeah.
To hand out, it was really nice.
Yeah.
How many businesses were?
I couldn't even tell for that one. Most of them, I think a lot of them were like just, and they just kind of are at the storefront or something getting out candy. A lot of them, not as many, probably, definitely not as used to be because we kind of took the weight off of them. Some with everything else. I think most of them are at least open to like watch all of the insanity out there. A couple of them, I'm sure, just decide to close for it. It was nuts.
Similar to Apple Fest, I mean, if you're willing to combat the madness, it's some great business.
Y'all do good on Main Street.
I mean, since the storm, that's one of the first, if not the only days we've comped, like our normal sales
Really?
was Halloween.
Was it like comparable to a normal October day or comparable to a Halloween day? Okay,
Just.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like even basically totally since the storm, it's all been,
It's, Halloween was the first little glimmer, and then Sunday and the last few days have been
starting
The last,
much more normal.
good.
yeah,
You feel like more tourists are coming? I mean, is it locals or is it tourists?
It's still local, they've been here the whole time.
yeah.
But we're seeing like just, over the weekend, just hearing more accents, like British accents, like Scandinavian accents, like people are traveling and you can
Good.
tell.
Okay, that's
Well,
good.
we're open to November the 2nd.
8,000
People,
day one.
wow.
They were expecting.
What's the capacity on a day?
I don't even know.
That's interesting because none of those are locals.
Mhm.
Like locals don't go to Biltmore, like they just don't.
They were expecting, they were
I go,
expecting
Yeah.
4,300 was their
Wow.
projected. And, yeah, and they were blown away.
That's
why I was curious, like,
a good sign. Yeah.
tourists
But my
come
question
back.
was, where they stay.
Yeah, where are they going?
Well,
They
the
coming from-
actuals, I mean, I guess the water is the issue, but you've got bottled water and stuff, and you still take showers, so the hotels are open.
The one thing I heard is people are flying in and not realizing they can't get iced coffee or tea at the airport.
Oh
Oh
my gosh, well, they can
Starbucks is.
get over.
Come on.
I guess some people don't fully
Yeah,
process.
they don't understand the extent of the water thing
Yeah.
there.
A week and a half ago, we started getting outsiders coming in and asking questions.
Do you feel like there's,
Then you have to explain to them, this, because they want to know about the storm.
Mhm.
do you feel like it's people who've been coming, like specifically come and support because of the storm? Do you think,
I
or,
wouldn't call it support, they
Looky loos.
they want to see, because they don't believe, the destruction, and they say, well, we had a hard time getting here because we came in, in this other way, and the bridge was out.
yeah, there's a lot of that.
All right.
You might have planned better.
We've seen some of that though, Jamie.
You said people have come in, just
They-
like come to,
We've done since maybe 2 weeks after the storm, the Mountain Strong shirts and stickers and stuff. And when they first did, it was 100% of profits. Now it's $10 per clothing item, and 50% of the stickers are going back to nonprofits. And
Mhm.
well, we're all the way up to Boone, so all over
oh, yeah.
various communities, but and I mean, that's been huge. Asheville wasn't open, our Asheville store wasn't open for 3 weeks. We were closed.
In October, which I'm sure is killer.
The Boone and Valley Cruises locations were slightly ahead of that. We were closed a week here. Without power. It's so weird.
Oh, because y'all didn't have power on your side.
Yeah, just our little
Yeah, it's so
half of the
small.
block, yeah. But point being, lots of people came for that. And even just the last couple of days, I've heard a lot of people asking, saying that they came just to get that.
That's good.
It's been kind of funny. One lady was asking for the hoodie, which we don't have in our store. I was like, no, you can get it online. And she was like, no, I just wanted to come support our store in Hendersonville. I was like, well, all the money.
You buy something else.
All the money goes to the same place. I didn't want to say that. I was like, you buy something. Like, which is it? Like, do you want the hoodie or do you want to support us?
What are y'all thinking and hearing? I guess two of y'all are kind of good gauges because y'all both hear from other places too, like. As far as, I mean, I guess nobody really knows, but based on that, do you think like going into the holiday season, has anybody said much of what to kind of expect or anything like that?
Our October was down like almost 65% from last year, which kind of tracks. And yeah, I agree. It's mostly locals. They haven't gone anywhere. They're still around, so that feels like it's gonna be stable. And I feel like once the street opens, that it should be similar to last year's or
Yeah. Okay,
We're down to 75%.
at the gallery.
And we knew that when we reopened.
Yeah.
We basically reopened, so relief workers and our customers could have a peaceful, quiet place to come decompress. And that first week was the best week of the month,
Really?
right after the.
And
right
then,
after the-
yeah,
And now it's just gone.
I think there's two things that are positive. First of all, everyone was holding their breath till yesterday, just to get the election out of the way.
Mhm.
Second, if you're local, I feel like the yard work is almost done.
yeah.
So like free time will be opening up, or at least, maybe another opportunity to just do
Yeah.
something differently on the weekends.
Yeah.
Fortunately, people still want to eat. But the money is going to either a cause, all right, support
Mhm.
or rebuilding.
Yeah.
Their home,
Investment.
whatever. And so we don't we don't expect to do anything for
Yeah, because
the next 3-4 months.
we tend to, or I say we tend, I just know because it happened last Christmas when the water happened in Asheville before. I know our restaurants got like a lot of people coming
Mhm.
for that. I think the restaurants are probably, they had those couple of weeks of bad. And then maybe having a little bit of, as they seem busy.
Insurance has been super easy to deal with. They're not fighting. They're not looking at anything under a microscope, you know, they know that everybody got hit, so.
That's good.
They're easy to deal with. FEMA was easy to deal with and all this grant
Do
money.
the SBA loan.
Mhm. I applied for it.
Okay.
Same thing. I just.
Yeah, let me know if they tell you anything on like the loss of business stuff. I told Caroline that too, like,
Insurance. I'll just tell you that. So like,
Yeah.
nobody really
I kind of figured,
expects
Yeah.
that. Everyone's gonna ask for it.
might as well ask for whatever you can.
Before we wrap up, last time we were talking about vacant building policies. Is that something that we're still interested in? Do we want to table that?
That's gonna take a while from the city
Hmm.
side of things.
And some-
There's gonna be a lot more of them. And so that's probably gonna make that happen faster to some degree. But I don't have much of an answer on where that, because they gotta
Something
assess all of these buildings.
sent to the city council.
Mhm.
They would take it from there.
Yeah, I'll find out. I hadn't heard from them, but I'll find out kind of where they're looking on, like, because I did like a code enforcement.
Right on the edge of Signal Hill Road and like Duncan Hill Road. Before Helene, there was that blue house that was like taken over by kudzu and like spray painted. I was gonna use that. I was gonna take a picture and literally like use it as an example of a vacant building policy. Got demolished
It from the storm?
from that. And I was like, this is the perfect example of like a blighted property, but do you know what happened to that place?
I have no idea, but I'm sure
I think there's an interesting story
code
there.
enforcement probably has some stuff, some information on it. Oh, well, thank y'all. This is good. I think we've got a little bit of a shift on what we were previously doing. And then right now, coming over at the depots, the Seventh Avenue water sewer stuff,
There next.
just water and sewer. It is not, you'll find out from them, but it is not what it was, what you're seeing as far as the streetscape.
Any other business or motions to adjourn? See y'all.
Thank you.
When will your area of streets be done?
You already had a contact.
They're gonna miss the December first,
New morning and
but
Firelight.
they're still pretty hopeful it's gonna happen quickly.